My name is Emily Carter. I'm 32. They said it was temporary family help, just a bridge. What it really was my savings being treated like my sister's allowance, and I didn't see it until the bank app refreshed and my balance dropped again. I was standing at my kitchen counter with my phone in one hand and a mug going cold in the other. The light above the sink flickered the way it always does. I tapped refresh. The number changed, not by a little. $95,000 had taken me years. Side jobs, skipped trips, saying no without explaining, watching friends buy houses while I stayed put. I kept that money boring on purpose. Safe, untouched. The transfer line said internal. No memo, no explanation. I took a screenshot. Then another. My thumb shook enough that the image blurred. I set the phone down and wrote the time on a sticky note like that would steady me. I'm the reliable one. That's the role. I answer texts fast. I remember birthdays. I handle forms. I fix things quietly so nobody feels bad. That morning, before I could even open my laptop, my mom called. Her voice came in soft and rushed. "Honey, are you home? I wanted to check in about your account." She said your account, not money, not a question. Just assumed space. I asked what she meant. There was a pause. Paper rustled. I pictured her kitchen table with the bowl of wrapped candies and the mail stacked under it. "Your father and I just wanted to make sure you're okay. You know, with everything." Everything wasn't a word I liked. I asked what everything was. "Well," she said, and laughed a little. "Chloe had that timing issue. It's nothing you don't already know about." I looked at the sticky note. The time was still there. "What timing issue?" Another pause. "We thought you'd prefer not to be bothered." I ended the call without saying goodbye. My hand went numb like I'd slept on it wrong. I opened the bank app again. I scrolled. There were small pulls going back weeks. Always clean amounts. Always early in the morning. I hadn't noticed because I don't check daily. I check when something feels off. That's the thing about trust. It saves time until it costs you everything. I drove to work with the radio off. At my desk, I logged into my account on the computer. The screen felt too bright. I downloaded the transaction history. The file name filled in automatically. I saved it to a folder with my name on it and printed it after everyone else left. The printer jammed on the second page. I tugged it free and smoothed the crease with my palm. While I was still there, my dad texted. "Stop by the house tonight. We should talk this through." "Through what?" I typed back that I was busy. He sent a thumbs up like we'd agreed on something. On the drive home, I pulled into a grocery store lot and called the bank. I put it on speaker and watched people load carts like it was any other day. The woman on the line asked for my name and security questions. Her voice stayed even. She said she saw activity that could be flagged as unusual, but it hadn't crossed a threshold yet. "Is there anyone else authorized on the account?" she asked. "No," I said too fast. Then I stopped. "There shouldn't be." She told me how to check. I found it buried in a tab I hadn't opened in years. There was a linked access profile with my mom's name. An old thing from when I was 23 and moving apartments and needed help with a cashier's check. I stared at it until the car behind me honked. That night, my parents' living room smelled like lemon cleaner. Family photos lined the mantel. Chloe's graduation cap. My first apartment key framed like a joke. I sat on the edge of the couch with my printed pages folded in my bag. My mom smiled too hard. My dad didn't sit down. "We're just trying to keep the family steady," my mom said, already reaching for my purse like she knew what was inside. I didn't pull the papers out yet. My phone buzzed on the cushion beside me. A bank alert. New login attempt. The bank alert sat on my screen like a little red eye. New login attempt. I picked up my phone and felt the heat from it, like it had been working overtime. The notification showed a location 2 towns over, not my apartment, not my office. It could have been a VPN. It could have been someone sitting at my parents' kitchen table, sipping decaf, clicking around like it was normal. My mom kept talking, but the words started sliding past me. "Emily, honey, you're making your face like that again," she said. "Like we're the bad guys." My dad finally sat down in his recliner and folded his hands. He did that when he wanted to look reasonable, like he was the calm one in the room. I reached into my bag and pulled out the manila folder. The corner was bent from where the printer jammed, and I hated that detail because it made this feel even more real. I set it on the coffee table. The glass top had fingerprints from someone's lemonade last weekend. My mom's eyes went straight to the folder, not my face. "I found linked access," I said. "Your name is still on my account." My mom's smile stayed in place. "That's old. So why is my balance dropping?" I asked. "And why did you call me this morning about my account before I said anything?" My dad cleared his throat. "Emily, don't do this like an interrogation." I opened the folder anyway. I slid one page out, the one with the repeating transfers. I'd highlighted them in yellow at my desk with a marker that smelled like chemicals. My mom didn't look at the numbers. She looked at the highlighter like it offended her. "You don't need to be dramatic," she said. Chloe was in a pinch. I waited for the rest. For an apology. For a sentence that acknowledged it was my money. My dad leaned forward. "It was temporary. We were going to put it back." "Put it back from what?" I said. "From where?" My mom exhaled like I'd asked something childish. "From our tax refund. From when your father's bonus clears. From something. You know how these things go." My phone buzzed again. Another bank alert. Unusual access attempt. I tilted the screen toward myself and tapped the notification to open it. My fingers moved fast and stiff, like I was doing CPR on my own life. My mom noticed. "What is that?" "The bank," I said. "Someone is trying to log in right now." My dad's eyes flicked to my mom's face, quick and tiny. It was the kind of look you miss if you aren't looking for it. My mom's voice went sweet. "Maybe it's you. You're always on your phone." "I'm sitting here," I said, and I heard how sharp it sounded. I didn't like it, but I didn't soften it. "I'm not doing it." My mom lifted a hand like she was calming a dog. "Emily, look at me. You are tired. You've been stressed. You probably forgot you authorized something." There it was. The flip. I stared at her. "So you're saying I approved transfers I don't recognize from my savings, and I forgot?" My dad joined in, like they were a team now. "It's not crazy. You've always been forgetful about paperwork. You lose mail. You miss texts." I almost laughed because it was such a clean rewrite of who I am. I do payroll for a living. I keep other people's benefits from falling apart. I don't forget money moving out of my account. My mom leaned closer. "Sweetheart, Chloe needed help with her rent and her car payment. It was either that or she'd get behind and ruin her credit. You wouldn't want that for her." I wanted to say 100 things. I wanted to ask why her credit mattered more than mine. I wanted to ask why my savings was the first place they went instead of their own. Instead, I asked, "How much?" My dad's eyes dropped to the folder like the answer was printed there and he couldn't bear to read it. "Don't focus on the number." "I'm going to focus on the number," I said, and my voice came out steady in a way that surprised me. My mom straightened, offended. "You had it just sitting there." That line made my throat tighten. My money. My years. Just sitting there. I picked up the folder and slid the pages back in with shaking hands. Paper edges, scraped paper. I stood up. My dad held up both palms. "Emily, don't storm out. You're acting like we stole from you." I looked at him. "Did you move my money without my permission?" He didn't answer. He looked at my mom again. My mom said, "We're your parents." That was her whole defense. I walked out to my car with the folder pressed to my chest like a shield. The night air was damp. My porch light at my apartment flickered when I got home, just like the sink light. In the driver's seat, before I even turned the engine off, I called the bank back. This time, the person who answered introduced himself as Evan. His tone was calm in the way people get when they've already seen everything. "Em's place. Pierce," he said. "I'm looking at your account now. I need you to tell me if anyone else has access, because we may have to place a temporary restriction." I stared at my hands on the steering wheel. My knuckles were white. I said, "Yes." And right then, my mom texted me a single sentence that made my stomach drop. "Do not embarrass us at the bank. Do not embarrass us at the bank." I read it twice with my phone lighting up my lap, the steering wheel still warm under my palms. The parking lot was almost empty, just a cart corral squeaking in the wind and a guy loading cases of water into an SUV like nothing in the world was on fire. Evan stayed on the line. "I can place a restriction right now," he said. "That means no transfers out until we verify access. It can be inconvenient. It can also stop a loss. Inconvenient was such a polite word for what this felt like. I want it, I said. He asked me a few more questions. Last deposit. Last transfer I recognized. Whether I'd shared passwords. I swallowed hard and told the truth, even the parts that made me feel stupid. My mom used to have linked access, I said. From years ago. I didn't realize it was still there. Evan didn't sigh. He didn't scold me. He just said, okay, like a person who hears that every day. He told me I'd need to come into a branch with ID. He said to bring any records I had. He said, very gently, that sometimes family situations get messy and the bank's job is procedure, not feelings. When I hung up, I sat there with the dark windshield in front of me, holding my phone like it might bite. I didn't drive straight home. I drove back to my parents' place. Their porch light was on. The little ceramic gnome my mom insisted on keeping by the steps looked smug. Inside, the living room lamps were all turned up bright like it was a show. My dad opened the door before I knocked. Emily, he said, and his voice had that careful edge again. What are you doing? I stepped inside and smelled lemon cleaner and something buttery from their kitchen. My mom was at the counter with a dish towel in her hands. She wasn't drying anything, just twisting it. You texted me, I said. My mom didn't blink. Because you were spiraling. I set my manila folder on the kitchen counter. The paper made a soft slap against their granite, and that small sound made my heart jump. My dad said, "Can we please not turn this into a thing?" "It already is a thing," I said. My mom made her mouth small, like she was disappointed in my tone. "Emily, we were handling it." Chloe was embarrassed. "We didn't want you to worry." I stared at her hands, twisting the towel. "You didn't want me to notice." My dad looked toward the hallway like he wanted to walk out of his own house. "Your sister was going to lose her apartment." "I didn't even know she was in trouble," I said. My mom's eyes sharpened. "Because you're busy. You're always busy. You don't ask about her." That landed in my chest like a shove, because it was a trap. If I defended myself, I was selfish. If I stayed quiet, I agreed. I opened the folder and slid out a page. Yellow highlights. Repeating amounts. The transfer dates stacked like steps. I tapped the paper with one finger. This happened over and over. My mom finally looked down. Just for a second. Then she lifted her eyes back to me and said, "You always make everything sound worse on paper." My dad said, "Emily, calm down." I laughed once, short and ugly. "I'm calm." My mom leaned her hip against the counter. "Okay, fine. Let's say we did it. We were going to put it back." "You know we would." I turned the page and pointed to the linked access profile I'd printed, the one that showed her name. "You told me it was old," I said. "If it was old, why did you still have access?" My mom shrugged like it was obvious. "Because you needed help back then. I'm your mother." "That doesn't answer it," I said. My dad stepped in like a referee. "We didn't think you'd react like this." I felt my jaw tighten. "How did you think I'd react?" My mom's voice went syrupy. "Like you always do. You'd say, 'Okay, just let me know what you need,' and then you'd move on. You're good like that." I stared at her, and for a second, I saw the whole pattern laid out. The compliments that were really instructions. The way reliable meant available. I reached for my phone and opened my email while I stood there. My hands shook enough that I hit the wrong app first. I corrected it. I searched the bank's name. Nothing obvious. No warnings. No approval email. My mom watched my screen like it was rude of me to verify reality. "You don't trust us," she said. "I'm trying to find the approval notice," I said. If I approved any of this, it would be in my email. My dad's face tightened. "Emily," my mom's towel stopped twisting. "You're not going to find it," she said, too quickly. That made my stomach flip. I changed the filter to all mail. I scrolled back to the month the transfers started. There were normal emails, payroll reminders, a dentist appointment, a coupon from a grocery store I never use. Then I saw it. A bank email subject line I didn't remember opening at all. Account access updated. It was marked as read. I looked up at my mom, and the silence in the kitchen stretched like it was trying to snap. My mom reached for the phone like she could pull the email back into the screen. "That's nothing," she said. "Those emails come all the time." I turned the phone toward myself and opened it. The kitchen light reflected off the glass, and I tilted it until I could read. Account access updated. Linked profile added. The timestamp was early morning. One of those quiet hours when I'm usually asleep and my parents are already up, watching the news with the sound low. It says a profile was added, I said. Recently. My dad stepped closer. Emily, this isn't the place for this. The place, I said, and felt my voice thin, is my money. My mom crossed her arms. You're blowing this up. Chloe was scared. We were trying to protect her. By using my savings, I said. She snapped, just for a second. You had it. The words hung there, sharp and plain. I closed my email and slipped the phone back into my pocket because if I kept looking, I was going to say something I couldn't pull back. I gathered the pages from the counter and slid them into the folder again. Slower this time. I'm going to the bank tomorrow, I said. My dad shook his head immediately. There's no need for that. My mom's eyes widened like I'd threatened to scream in church. Emily, absolutely not. Do you know how that looks? I picked up my bag. I don't care how it looks. She followed me to the door. You're humiliating us over something that could have been handled at home. At home, I said, and my hand was already on the knob. Is where it happened. I left before she could answer. The next morning, I took the day off work. I put the manila folder on my passenger seat like a person. I drove to the branch Evan had mentioned, the one with the brick front and the faded banner about free checking. Inside, the air smelled like carpet cleaner and printer toner. A digital screen blinked numbers above the waiting chairs. I took a ticket and sat down, my folder on my lap, my knee bouncing hard enough that the papers inside shifted. When my number flashed, I walked up to the counter and set my ID down. My hands were steady now, which surprised me. The banker introduced herself and pulled up my account. Her monitor was angled away, but I could see the reflection of movement in the glass. She frowned slightly. I see the restriction, she said. We'll need to review access history. I slid the folder across. I brought statements. She nodded like that was normal. Like people didn't usually come in here with their family drama pressed into paper. She clicked and typed. I watched her face change in small ways, tightening around the mouth, a pause that lasted a beat too long. Then I heard my mom's voice behind me. Emily? I turned. My parents were standing just inside the entrance, my mom clutching her purse to her chest, my dad looking around like he'd wandered into the wrong room. I hadn't told them which branch. My mom walked up to the counter, smiling at the banker. We're here with her. There's been a misunderstanding. The banker looked from me to them. Are you authorized on this account? My mom answered too fast. We're her parents. The banker didn't smile back. That's not what I asked. The lobby felt very quiet. A man in line behind us shifted his weight. Someone cleared their throat. My dad finally said, we just want to help. The banker turned her screen slightly, still not enough for anyone else to see. Miss Pierce, she said to me, I'm going to need to lock this account pending verification. My mom's face went pale. I didn't say anything. I just nodded. The banker printed a receipt and slid it toward me. The paper was warm, the ink still dark. This is temporary, she said, calm and precise. No outgoing transfers until we verify authorization. We'll need a timeline and any documentation you have. My mom tried to laugh. It came out thin. This is so unnecessary. The banker didn't look at her. She looked at me. I nodded again, like that was my new language. We stepped aside to a glass office with a small round table. My parents hovered near the doorway like they might still be invited in. The banker closed the door anyway. Inside, the hum of the building sounded louder. The folder sat between us. I opened it and spread the pages out, careful and neat. I can walk you through it, I said, and heard how different my voice sounded in this room. Less apology, more fact. She listened. She asked questions. Dates, patterns. Whether I recognized any of the transfer memos, I leaned closer to the pages and saw something I'd skimmed before without really reading. One transfer note referenced a property management company. Another listed a first name and last initial I recognized from Chloe's Instagram comments. A third matched the amount of a car payment Chloe had complained about at Thanksgiving. My stomach dropped in a slow, heavy way. These don't line up with anything I authorized, I said. The banker made a note. We'll include that. Outside the glass, my mom paced. My dad kept checking his phone. At one point, my mom pressed her hand flat against the glass like she was at an aquarium. When the meeting ended, the banker walked me to the lobby and handed me a checklist. "We'll be in touch," she said. "Please don't change anything else until we complete review." My parents followed me out into the parking lot. My mom grabbed my arm. Her grip was tighter than I expected. "What did you tell them?" I pulled my arm free. "The truth." My dad stepped between us, trying to keep his voice low. "Emily, this is getting out of hand." "Out of whose hands?" I said. My mom's eyes filled, right on cue. "Chloe thinks you approved it." That's what we told her. "She's going to be devastated." That word again. Approved. I got in my car and shut the door before she could say more. Halfway home, my phone rang. Chloe's name lit up the screen. I almost let it go to voicemail. I didn't. "Hey," she said, already crying. "Why are you doing this to me?" My chest tightened. "Doing what?" "They said you said yes," she said. "They said you knew and now you're changing your mind." I pulled over and put the car in park. "I never said yes." She sniffed. "But they told me you did." I pictured the highlighted lines. The memos. The early morning timestamps. "Did they tell you where the money was coming from?" I asked. There was a pause. "They said it was family money." "It was mine," I said. Silence stretched between us, raw and awkward. Finally, she whispered, "I can't afford to give it back." "I know," I said, and surprised myself by meaning it. When I got home, there were 3 texts waiting. One from my mom, one from my dad, one from a number I didn't recognize. The unknown message said, "I hear you're stealing from your own family." That's cold. I sat at my kitchen table, the flickering light buzzing overhead, and opened my laptop. I started a new document and titled it Timeline. The cursor blinked at me like it was impatient, so I began with the smallest facts first. First, odd transfer. First time my mom said your account. First, bank alert. First time I saw her name still linked. My hands shook less when I typed than when I talked. I added screenshots into a folder on my desktop and renamed them so they lined up. I took a photo of the printed statement spread across my kitchen table, the yellow highlights catching the light like warning tape. Then I did the part I'd been avoiding. I opened my bank app and went into settings. The linked access profile was still there, grayed out now because of the restriction, but the name made my stomach turn anyway. Martha Pierce. I changed my password. Then I changed it again because the first one felt too easy. I turned on every security feature they offered. Text code, email code, app verification. The little toggle switches slid on with soft clicks that sounded stupidly satisfying. My phone buzzed. "Mom. Answer me. Dad. Call me. We need to get ahead of this." I didn't. I got up and walked to my junk drawer, the one with old batteries and pens that don't work. I found the sticky note I'd made years ago when I first opened that savings account, the one with a hint for my password because I'd been scared of forgetting it. I held it for a second, then tore it in half. My hands didn't feel heroic. They felt tired. The next morning, I drove to a different bank across town, one I'd never used. The parking lot was full of minivans and work trucks. Inside, the lobby smelled like coffee from a machine in the corner and something citrusy they pumped through the vents. A woman in a blazer asked how she could help. "I need to open a new checking account," I said. "Today." She smiled like that was simple. Of course. It was simple, and it wasn't. I filled out forms. I showed my ID. I signed my name so many times my wrists started to ache. When she handed me a temporary debit card in a plain envelope, I stared at it like it was a key to a door I didn't know I was allowed to lock. In my car, I called Denise. "Tell me you're not backing down," she said the second she answered. "I opened a new account," I said. Denise exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for days. "Good. Route your paycheck. Today." I drove straight to my office. It felt wrong to walk into the building on a day off, but my badge still beeped green, and the hallway still smelled like dust and toner. My desk chair squeaked when I sat down. I pulled up our payroll system and stared at the direct deposit screen like it might judge me. I entered the new routing number. I triple-checked it. I stared at the last 4 digits of the account number until they blurred, then checked again. My finger hovered over save. My phone buzzed again. "Mom." The bank called. "What did you do?" "Dad. Emily, you're making this worse." The bank called. "So, The freeze had triggered a notification. Or my mom had called them. Either way, they were already moving. I hit save. A tiny confirmation box popped up, changes effective next payroll. My throat tightened, and for a second I just sat there with my hand on the mouse, feeling a wave of something like grief, which was ridiculous. I was grieving access. I was grieving my own habit of letting them in. I printed a copy of the direct deposit change for my own records and slid it into the manila folder. The folder was getting thick. It made a soft thump when I set it in my bag. As I walked back out to the parking lot, my dad called again. I answered this time because I needed to hear what he'd say now that I'd actually done it. His voice came in low and urgent. "Emily, please. Your mother is beside herself." "I'm fine," I said. "That's not what I mean," he snapped, then softened immediately. "We can fix this. Just undo whatever you did. Chloe is panicking." I leaned against my car door. The metal was hot from the sun. "Why is Chloe panicking?" I asked. "If it was temporary family help, why is she panicking?" He didn't answer. I could hear my mom in the background, talking fast, not into the phone, just into the air. "Tell her she's ruining us. Tell her she's humiliating us." My dad swallowed. "You don't understand the pressure we're under." I almost laughed again, but it didn't come out. "You mean the pressure of not having my savings anymore?" "Emily," he warned. "No," I said, and my voice came out quiet. "You don't get to warn me." He went silent. Then my mom grabbed the phone from him. Her voice was sharp now, no sugar left. "If you do this, you will ruin your sister. You will ruin this family. Do you want everyone to know what kind of person you are?" I stared at the white lines of the parking space under my shoes. "You already told people," I said. "That's why I'm getting messages." She hesitated. Just a flicker. Then she said, "We told the truth." I opened my texts and scrolled to the unknown number from last night, the accusation sitting there like a bruise. I said, "If you told the truth, why does it sound like I'm the thief?" My mom's breathing got loud through the speaker. Then a new text popped up from a family group chat I'd muted years ago. "Aunt Rita, is it true you drained your parents' account and left Chloe hanging? Aunt Rita, is it true you drained your parents' account and left Chloe hanging?" I stared at the message until the words stopped looking like English and started looking like a dare. My mom was still on the phone, breathing hard like she'd just run upstairs. I didn't answer her. I didn't answer Rita either. I opened the group chat. There were little gray bubbles stacking up fast. A cousin I barely know. An uncle who only texts at Christmas. People tossing in question marks like confetti. My dad's voice came back, quieter, like he was trying to pull the wheel back from my mom. "Emily, please, just don't make this public." "It's already public," I said, and my own voice sounded tired. "You made it public." My mom cut in. "We were trying to get ahead of your version." "My version," I repeated. I ended the call and set my phone face down on the passenger seat. The screen kept lighting up anyway, little vibrations against the fabric like a trapped insect. At home, I laid the manila folder open on my kitchen table again. I added a news section behind a paperclip and wrote in pen on the top page, "Third-party contacts." I wrote Aunt Rita's name. Then the unknown number. Then a note that said family group chat smear. My hands didn't shake as much now. Not because I felt brave, because something in me had gone flat. The part that used to scramble to fix things had finally hit a wall. Later that afternoon, Evan from the bank called. His voice was the same calm as before, like he was reading weather. "Ms. Pierce, I'm following up on the restriction," he said. "We completed an initial review of access history. The account will remain frozen for outgoing transfers until we confirm authorization for certain changes." "What does that mean?" I asked, even though I already knew. "It means," he said carefully, "that we need you to verify you made the access update and the transfers. If you did not, we'll document that and proceed accordingly." I pressed the phone between my shoulder and ear and opened my laptop. My kitchen chair creaked under me. "Will you send that in writing?" I asked. "Yes," he said. "You'll receive a letter in your secure portal and by mail." A small part of me felt relief, which was strange. Not relief that this was happening. Relief that someone outside my family was saying there were rules. That night, my mom sent me a new text, like she was switching tactics. "Mom, dinner tomorrow. Just us. Let's settle this like adults." Then another. Mom, Chloe will be there. She wants to apologize. Then the third one. The real one. Mom, we have a paper you need to sign so the bank will release the funds. Easy. Just a formality. I stared at the word formality. Denise called right after, like she could smell it through the air. Do not sign anything, she said before I even said hello. I haven't agreed to anything, I told her. Good, she said. If you go with your folder. And you do not go alone. I'm not dragging you into this, I said. Denise laughed once. Too late. I'm already emotionally invested, and I have snacks. The next evening, I drove to the restaurant my mom picked, the kind of casual place with fake brick walls and framed black and white photos of the city. The parking lot was packed. It was the dinner hour, and I could already see the host stand through the glass. Denise met me outside. She wore her hair up and carried her purse like it had weight. I'm sitting at the bar, she said. I'm not at the table, but I'm here. My stomach flipped, grateful and embarrassed at the same time. Inside, my parents were already in a booth. Chloe was there too, eyes puffy, twisting a straw wrapper into a tight little rope. My mom's smile went on the second she saw me. See, she said, too bright. We're all here. This is good. My dad slid a menu toward me like it was normal. He wouldn't look me straight in the eye. Chloe started to speak, then stopped. Her mouth opened again, and nothing came out. Finally, she said, I didn't know. I swear. My mom reached over and patted her hand, then looked at me. She's been sick over this. I didn't touch the menu. I kept my bag on my lap, the manila folder inside like a heartbeat. A waiter came by and took drink orders. My mom ordered sweet tea for everyone like we were 12. When the waiter left, my mom leaned in and pulled a folded sheet of paper out of her purse. Here, she said, sliding it across the table toward me. This fixes it. We just need your signature. Then the bank releases the restriction and we can move money back where it belongs. Back where it belongs. I didn't pick it up. I watched the paper sit there between the ketchup bottle and my dad's water glass. What is it? I asked. My mom smiled like she was talking to a stubborn child. Authorization. It says you allowed us to manage transfers temporarily. It's basically what you already intended. I didn't intend anything, I said. My dad finally spoke. Emily, don't be difficult. We're trying to solve this. I reached forward and unfolded the paper slowly. The restaurant noise blurred around me, forks clinking, a kid laughing somewhere behind my head. The top had the bank's name. It looked official enough at a glance. Then I saw the date. It was backdated to before the first transfer. And below that, in a neat cursive I recognized from birthday cards and grocery lists, was my name written as a signature. I stared at the signature like it might rearrange itself if I waited long enough. It didn't. My name sat there in my mom's looping cursive, careful and practiced, the same way she used to sign permission slips when I was a kid. The date above it was clean and early, before the first transfer. Before any of this, according to them, the table felt too small all of a sudden. I slid the paper back toward my mom. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't lower it either. This isn't mine. My mom's smile twitched. It's your name. It's not my handwriting, I said. Chloe looked between us, confusion cutting through the red in her eyes. Mom? My dad reached for the paper like he could fix it by touching it. Emily, let's not do this here. We're already here, I said. The waiter came back with drinks and paused, sensing the temperature. My mom laughed too loudly and waved him off. We're fine. I wasn't. I pulled my phone out and opened my secure bank portal. The letter from Evan was there, stamped with the bank's logo and written in language that didn't care about feelings. Pending verification. Unauthorized access under review. Do not sign corrective documents provided by third parties. I turned the screen toward my dad first, then my mom. This is from the bank, I said. They told me not to sign anything like this. My mom's face hardened. So you're choosing them over us. I'm choosing facts, I said. Chloe pushed her chair back slightly, the legs scraping. Did you do this? She asked my mom, and her voice cracked in a way that didn't sound like performance. My mom didn't answer right away. She reached for her water glass and took a sip that lasted too long. We were trying to help, she said finally. You don't understand how desperate things were. Chloe shook her head. You told me Emily knew. My dad looked down at the table. his jaw working like he was chewing something tough. He didn't deny it. I slid my bag off my lap and stood up. The folder inside shifted, heavy and familiar. "I'm not signing anything," I said. "I'm communicating with the bank only, in writing." My mom scoffed. "You can't just cut us off." "I can," I said. "And I am." I left cash on the table for my untouched drink. Denise caught my eye from the bar and raised her eyebrows in a silent question. I nodded once. Outside, the air felt cooler than it should have. My hands shook as I unlocked my car, but it passed once I sat down and closed the door. The next morning, I sent one email. It was short, calm, boring. I stated that all communication about my finances would go through the bank, that I was removing any shared access everywhere, that I would not discuss money in person or by phone. Then I did exactly that. I blocked access on the bank app. I removed old permissions on anything tied to my accounts. I changed emails. I froze my credit just to be safe. Each step clicked into place like a latch. The bank finalized their review later that week. The freeze held. The unauthorized access was documented. The remaining funds stayed put, untouched for the first time in weeks. Chloe texted me once more. She said, "They lied to me." I wrote back, "I know." She didn't ask for money. Not that day. Not after. My parents went quiet. No more calls. No more warnings. No more messages about embarrassment or family reputation. Just silence where pressure used to live. On payday, my paycheck hit the new account. I watched the notification pop up and felt something loosen in my chest that I hadn't realized was clenched. I sat at my kitchen table under the flickering light, the manila folder closed now, and for the first time in a long time, nothing was moving without my say-so.